Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about timeless holiday decor that makes sense all year. And here's why I want to talk about that, because I am not necessarily mad at a Christmas moment, okay? I like a cheesy Christmas moment as much as the next, well, not quite as much as the next guy, maybe a little bit less, but still, I'm not mad at a Santa on a set of skis, okay? Like, I get it, we're all having fun, it's the holidays. If you want to be cheesy and love it, go for it. But I want to talk about it for two reasons. Number one, it's exhausting the amount of Christmas stuff people can accumulate in their house, right? I feel like people on November 1st are doing an entire changeover of their house and then redoing it all in January, and people go a little bit nuts, and that's not very sustainable. It's a lot of work. It definitely has a keeping up with the Joneses sort of influencer vibe, like, am I not doing enough for Christmas, right? And also it's expensive. And I just think that, you know, I'm trying to give you tips in this video on how to invest in some timeless pieces that you're gonna get longevity out of all year. So these are some tips that you're gonna be able to do for Christmas and make your space feel really lovely for the holidays, but that'll also make sense in June, okay? So let's get going, let's talk about it. Okay, first tip I have for you all, again, timeless, stuff that makes sense all year, is gonna be layered textures and cozy materials. So what do I mean by that? I mean, first of all, when we're talking layering, I'm not just talking about like one piece of furniture. I'm talking about like different elements being used in the space. You might have your window treatments, right? You might have some beautiful drapes and like a nice, lovely fabric or something. You might have throws, you might have pillows on top of an upholstered sofa, right? You might have a really cushy, squishy ottoman or something, which is really, really cute. You might have different rugs, for example, right? Rugs are beautiful and make sense all year round, and they provide a real lovely coziness to a space because it just gives a lot of texture, and that's what makes the space feel really beautiful. So if you are thinking, okay, I want to decorate for the holidays, but I don't necessarily want to just do the whole red and green pattern thing, I would advise sticking with classic timeless patterns that are gorgeous all year, that feel cozy and warm and lovely for the holidays, for the winter season, but don't necessarily look completely out of place in June, right? So, you know, something like a nice gingham pattern or a plaid pattern is beautiful, or a stripe pattern is also gorgeous. Or if you want to go neutral, you can go something in like a beige or a cream or ivory, or those are all basically the same, or like a gray or something, right? You can work with those, or like a chocolate brown or something, or just if you love color, fantastic, just work with the color scheme that you already have in the rest of the space. But going for something a little bit more neutral makes it really easy to incorporate into the holiday decor while also making sense for the rest of the year. So I would advise that working with these cozy materials works all the time and always looks good. So it's not just like, okay, I want to keep my space really sort of minimal in June, but then come December, I want to cozy it up with a whole bunch of crap. But, you know, invest in some stuff that's going to be cozy and make sense all year. What I would avoid, and again, you can do it if you want, I'm not going to stop you, but if you want something that's truly going to be timeless all year, stay away from some of those classic sort of Christmas patterns, especially the Christmas sort of iconography, right? So the snowman, the Santa, the candy cane, you know, the holly, all that stuff that just reads super, super Christmas. Again, I'm not mad at it. If you want to do it, maybe do it 20%, but the 80%, maybe look at stuff that just makes sense all year round, because I think that cozy materials and stuff is really gorgeous all year, but especially beautiful when we're spending a lot of time indoors, especially when, you know, it gets darker earlier in the evening, especially here, of course, here in the Northern Hemisphere, and that's when it really, really counts. So rather than getting a throw with like a Santa print on it, which is only gonna probably be good in your home for 6 weeks, going for something neutral in like a really beautiful plaid or something that is cozy and warm and awesome all year, you're gonna get lots more use out of and way more bang for your buck. Okay, next up, I'm gonna say natural materials beyond the holidays, okay? So yes, greenery, for example, is something people do a lot of, right? You're bringing in the little boughs of holly, you're bringing in the garlands, you're bringing in the wreaths, you're bringing in, you know, the Christmas tree, right? You bring all that sort of stuff. But what you might want to consider, which of course I don't have any of that here, so, you know, as I always say on this channel, do what I say, not as I do in my background, is consider investing in greenery that makes sense all year, right? So again, rather than always just swapping out the garlands, whatever, with the little tiny Christmas presents in them, which is beautiful and great, cool, but invest in ones that would make sense for the rest of the year. Invest in plants that make sense all year. So you can have gorgeous plants and greenery in your space year round, but you don't necessarily have to have them super, super themey for Christmas. I just find too that if you're going to bring in real sort of honest things like a real tree into your space as opposed to sort of a fakey, greeny, Christmassy one, it can make sense because it's something that you're going to invest in all year, get a lot of use out of. And what I usually find is that people will spend a little bit more money on something that they get 12 months of use out of that still looks beautiful and amazing in the winter months, rather than, oh, this is only going to be good for 6 weeks, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it because I'm not going to buy a real Christmassy garland or because it's just gonna die. It's just gonna die and I'm never gonna get very much use out of it beyond 6 weeks. So most people don't have the money to just spend a whole bunch of money on their Christmas greenery only to turn around and watch it die in January and never use it again. Investing in actual real plants that are also green and also look really good all year and will totally work into the rest of your Christmas decor, you might want to invest in some of those plants and get real ones that you water and actually take care of. Not like me, I kill every plant, but you might be different. Hopefully you're better than I am. And you can keep some of that alive all year and get so much more use out of it. Okay, next up is going to be warm lighting. Now, this is specifically looking at several different lighting elements that you have in your space. Even in this room right now that I have, I've got lighting up here, I've got lighting over here, I got a little light back here, I got a little guy over here, right? Having different sources of light around the room makes a space feel really warm and cozy and beautiful, because having different light sources rather than just having one light in the center of the room, not only is it more flattering for everybody, but it gives so much more life to the space in different areas. It draws the eye around the room, which makes it feel a lot more interesting to be in. When you just have one light, it's a downward light, which makes everybody look like garbage, right? Nobody looks good at downward lighting, okay? You gotta have some light coming from different sources. It's just much more flattering for the people that live there, but also it is just more visually interesting. It makes everything look good. It makes everything look better. You can have a beautiful home and spending tons and tons and tons of money on really high-end decor, but if you've got crappy lighting, it's gonna look bad. It's gonna look like a hospital. Or you can have some really budget picks that are really, you picked up from some great deals, some, vintage stuff or some stuff that you bought at a secondhand store or whatever, and if it's got some really gorgeous lighting, it'll make it look 1,000 times better. So lighting is really, really key, and that is something. Investing in quality lighting looks good all year. Yes, a lamp like this can be styled into your Christmas decor and look beautiful and amazing on those cold winter evenings and will make your space look beautiful, but this lamp sits here all the time. It sits here all year. So you don't necessarily have to go out and buy a lot of Christmassy themed sort of lights that only make sense for that, 6 weeks or 8 weeks that you're gonna have this decor. Hopefully you're not one of these people that still has their Christmas decorations up in March, because I can't stand that. And also, of course, I have to talk about lighting temperature, which is if you're going with that white hospital lighting, it's not, the insane asylum look isn't cozy in December, and it's definitely not even cozy in August either. It just doesn't make sense, okay? It doesn't work for most people. Probably, I would advise somewhere in the 2,700 to 3,000. That's kind of the range I always think that people should shoot for. It's gonna be a much warmer light. It's gonna feel a lot cozier, and especially that is important around the holidays. If you're spending a lot more time indoors, it just makes the space feel really warm and inviting when you're there. Flattering, it's gorgeous, it always looks good. So I would advise investing in quality lighting in your home that makes sense all year. And yes, of course, if you want to bring in some more Christmassy themed lights, that makes sense, but you've already got this backdrop of some beautiful lighting that you've invested in that works all year. Okay, next up, I'm gonna say is investing in beautiful metallics in your home. So whether this is gonna be door hardware, your cabinet hardware, it can be decorative objects that you have, it can be beautiful lights, it can be candle holders or things like that. Those things are beautiful and give a little bit of a sparkle and shine that I think always looks good. There's a reason why at Christmas time specifically that retailers, you've got the red and green color schemes, but you also have those metallics in there too, right? They just give a little bit of glitter, a little bit of shine, a little bit of fun, a little bit of sparkle, which is kind of nice in the winter months because that's what you're really feeling like you need. So going with that, running with that makes a lot of sense during the holidays, but you might want to also invest in some of those pieces that make sense all year. So, if you've got some crappy door hardware or cabinet hardware sitting here in your living room and you're like, it kind of looks a little tarnished, looks not great, looks a little bit dated, looks like something I don't like, swap that out for some gorgeous ones that will make sense all year, right? Something like a warm brass and like that's gonna develop a natural patina, I think is awesome. But of course, I also love the cooler tone metals as well. I'm not a metal snob, I have my preferences, but things in the brass and the gold are also great. But if you're more of a chrome or brushed nickel person, that's fantastic too. So investing in those those materials that will give you that little bit of sparkle. It makes sense all year round. Metallics are always awesome. They're also very functional. Having a metal piece in your home makes sense for lots of reasons. And that's mostly just because these metallics, you know, they're very durable and they've got a little bit of shine, and it's a nice different contrast to some of the more subtle, humble materials like wood, for example. And it just is really beautiful to have them, right? It makes sense all year. But particularly around the holidays, when you see metallics being also brought in, maybe in your Christmas ornaments or some other decor that you choose to bring in over the holidays, investing in that base of really beautiful metallics in all the different areas of your home, again, lamps and hardware and whatever, just adds to it and makes the space look really beautiful. Okay, and then next up, I want to talk about multi-purpose decorative pieces. So I love, again, I have to say it because people are going to accuse me of being such a Grinch, but again, like if 20-30% of your decor is very holiday specific, that's great. If you've got some specific objects that have some sentimental value for you and that you really, really love, that obviously you're only going to bring out November, December, that's wonderful, right? And that's, you know, it brings you joy, and I'm not here to stop you, but I am. No, but if you are interested, I do think that there's a lot of fantastic decorative pieces that are worth investing in that are also really gorgeous in the holidays and make a lot of sense for the rest of the year. So candle holders, right? Candles, things like that, really, really beautiful. Maybe you've got a nice, gorgeous diffuser that you might use in your living room that you really enjoy. Maybe you've got different decorative objects like these beautiful, you know, little vintage pots here that are 100 and something years old, right? Those are fantastic, right? Books are really wonderful. And these things that really mean a lot to you, that have a lot of sentimental value and are also really beautiful to look at, that you want to use for styling, can be wonderful for the rest of the year, but also in particular, a lot of them make sense around the holidays. I'm going to talk about candles for a minute because I think candles and candle holders are fantastic because they really do add a lot of warmth and coziness during those winter months when we're going to be going through the holidays, but they also can be fantastic for a summer dinner party, for example, as well, right? So taking some of these pieces, and again, yes, of course, if you love a little Santa candlestick holder, I'm not going to stop you, but some beautiful ones, like I have one from Fable that I really enjoy. I love the ones from Fable. They're great. They're made of ceramic, which is fantastic, and they're really, really beautiful, and they come in like a bunch of different colors. They come in green, they come in taupe, they come in speckled white, lots of different gray, and they're all really cool, and those look fantastic all year round, right? So you can invest in some of those pieces that work for you all year, and you particularly are also welcome during those cozy months in November, December, January. So some of those candle holders or lights or different ornaments that you might use. So you might be able to use them during the holidays in sort of a Christmas display. Again, bringing in some stuff that feels a little bit more on Christmas theme, those sentimental pieces you bring out every year. But then you can also restyle them on a beautiful console or a bar cabinet or on a coffee table, have a gorgeous tray on your coffee table, and you can use them again all year. So you can invest a little bit more into pieces because you're going to get a lot more use out of them. You're going to enjoy them all year round. And then you just bring in some of those sort of more special, sentimental, very specific pieces that you like to bring in around the holidays. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope you can see that you can not have to buy into all the hype of taking your entire Christmas display and just completely rejig everything, you know, a Christmas flip. You're not a retail store, okay? You're not an Old Navy. You don't need to necessarily completely change your entire home just to suit the holidays. You can have a base of like 60 to 80% that is just stuff that makes sense all year round, and then you can just bring in some of those sentimental Christmassy holiday pieces that you truly love. So I'm gonna leave you here with a video on some Christmas holiday mistakes that you might enjoy. So if you like me sort of making fun of some of that cheesy stuff, I think you're really gonna enjoy that one. So I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.